Committee in 2024. We have apologies this morning from Pauline McNeill and Sharon Dowie is joining us. So today we're beginning our Stage 1 evidence taking on the Police Ethics, Conduct and Scrutiny Scotland. So before I begin, I wish to declare that I was a former police officer for Grampian Police and Police Scotland. And can I invite any other members to declare any interests that they have?
That's jobs that she wants to do.
Thank you very much indeed. If there are any other members who wish to make a declaration, okay, thank you very much indeed. So I welcome to the meeting Miss Stephanie Honor and I refer members to papers 1 to 4. So it's vitally important that we hear the views of those who have personal experience of the police complaint system. The committee is very interested to hear your perspective on what is being proposed in the bill. So I intend to allow around about 45 minutes for this evidence session. So I wonder, just by way of opening things up, if I could perhaps ask you a question, Stephanie, and it's a fairly simple one. Can I ask what you think should be changed about the police complaint system based on your experience?
Well, it's just, could I read an opening statement if you don't mind, please, Gerd?
Of course.
Justice Committee. I wish to make this short statement to help the committee before taking questions. Indeed, hopefully this statement will cover some of the questions. I want to explain how difficult it can be to make a serious complaint against Police Scotland. In my case, it took over 6 months from the discovery of my son's body to actually making a formal complaint against the police. My firstborn, my 19-year-old son, Reece Bonner, was discovered on the 8th of August 2019. A formal complaint was made against Police Scotland on the 6th of March 2020. During this period, Police Scotland took me on a journey and I experienced many of their tactics firsthand. I can only describe this journey as a hellish merry-go-round of distractions, deceit, deception and manipulation. And I hope that I would be overcome my grief and simply go away. Reece's body was discovered on a Thursday, 8th of August 2019. The police closed the investigation on Monday, 12th of August 2019. That's 4 days later, or one full working day later, but they never told me this. They led me on and on and on. Every time I mentioned making a complaint, they would stall, me or distract me, and at one point they said female officers were joining to defend me and groom me. This is the type of tactics that will be a trail of evidence. Then when I asked Mr Kane to come represent me in February 2020, Police Scotland refused to put a mandate in place for him. They told him in writing that the investigation was still ongoing despite it being closed 6 months earlier. So in my case it wasn't that easy for me to even start the complaints process. It makes me wonder how many other David families have experienced the same obstructions and manipulation and are prevented from making complaints. I know of other parents who have simply been overwhelmed by grief and have had no strength to engage with the police complaints process. Whereas I am the voice of my son, I am determined to give other parents and other families voices too. What does it feel like to make a serious complaint against Police Scotland? Some of you may have watched the TV series Mr Bates versus the Police Office. One man's battle against a huge organisation. One man's battle to uncover the truth. My representative, Mr O'Kane, has used this type of compassion. He calls my journey Mrs Bonner versus Police Scotland. Make no mistake, Police Scotland was hell-bent in making my life difficult. They didn't want complaints made. They didn't want me to have a representation, as they know it was easier to manipulate a grieving mother. Indeed, this month PUP upheld 2 complaints I made. One was regarding the police continually contacting me whilst being specifically told not to. The other was regarding the police sending a marked police van to Mr McLean's home with a number of uniformed officers simply to deliver a letter, which we acknowledged an email as he sent. This was part of a course of action to try and imitate me and my representative. At one point in time, police officers put hands on me and my representative and gave me a written warning to try and stop my campaign, to stop me campaigning for justice for my son. These, in other words, was threatened with the force of the law and an attempt to silence me from raising genuine concerns. My worries for girls could be variants to cooperate investigate the death of my son. After the initial misinformation to seek a jury failed, and an official complaint was made on my behalf, Mr Kane and I then encountered Police Scotland's wall of silence as they pull strikes to protect each other. It's a culture you may have read or heard about in the media over the years, but if you have experienced it, you will feel how cold and calculated it is. I made two complaints which were interlinked. The first complaint, which was made in March 2020, the second complaint, which was made in 2022, but put on hold by Police Scotland and PUT due to similar points. It has taken over 4 years to exhaust the police and PUT investigation process. It has taken over 4 long and painful years just to prove that my son's death was not properly investigated by Police Scotland. Potentially, vital evidence was lost forever, and I will never know what happened to my son. I will never know with certainty why my son's body was discovered. Due to 2 different sets of coordinates held by Police Scotland and conflicting accounts and video footage that I secured from them. Police Scotland have put me through a prolonged and unnecessary nightmare, and I have lost all faith in them and their complaint process. Police Scotland have also repeatedly given quotes to the media suggesting that they are not closely with me, communicating with me and supporting me. This was painful to read, as this could not be further from the truth. I wanted justice for my son. These people have asked me what justice looks like. I am looking at justice right now. I am looking at the Justice Committee and the changes you might bring to policing. Police Scotland has to be reformed, and I am relieved that the Justice Committee has taken on this task.
Stephanie, thank you very much for
I'm filming it on a screen because they won't let me go upstairs to the committee room and film it. So I've come downstairs. That's why it's noisy in the background, because I'm in the chamber, but in the Parliament building. But I've got him on the screen, so I'll put it on that screen. I'm just doing it. I'm going to put the conference on now.
to take place in your journey has been to you now slightly straying off perhaps the provisions of the bill, but that obviously was a very important aspect of your journey. So I wonder if you can maybe just let me know a little bit more about how that rose to Sorry, I'll give it to you. That's how you go at all. So I really just wanted to ask you a little bit about how how difficult those timescales have been for you, and what should we be considering when we're looking at the bill about how that aspect to this inquiry or review can be improved.
So the first answer that one, I just gave it to myself and it was not done today. But can I do the first one again, please, if you don't mind?
Yes, that's fine.
What do you think should be changed about police complaint system based on your experience? You never asked me that one, just about ascertain one thing, so it's a bit of a right. My next one is, it took Scotland the best part of a year to investigate one complaint, then it took PUP the best part of the next year to review the complaint. It was clear that PUP did not have access to all the information they needed, and they repeatedly had to contact the police specific documents. PUP were clearly delayed by the situation and were dependent on the police in terms of timescales. This left me hating and blowing my game into stress. Police Scotland did not want to engage with me as soon as I had made a formal complaint, so I couldn't ask other relevant questions about my son's death, as if there was silence. This left me unable to lay covers at the location where my son's body was discovered. I still don't know with certainty where my son's body was discovered, as Police Scotland told two different sets of documents. They eventually said one set was a mistake, so I don't know what to believe now. I have been left traumatised by this, and I have lost both in British Scotland.
Thank you, Stephanie. That's good. I'm going to bring other members to ask questions now. I'm going to move Gregor to say.
And Brian, your son's it's okay to ask what it's about. It's about this issue that you raised about the legal representation and how you felt that was kind of the police pushed back in that push. Something surprised me when I think that. So do you think that perhaps something this bill could do or even look at, do you think it would be helpful if when somebody is at the start of the complaint process that the police actually sit down and actually advise you to get legal advice?
I'll answer this. It is vital to remember that the police are being asked to investigate themselves. So unlike when they're asked to investigating criminals, they're investigating some of their own. So there will be a lack of willingness. I don't believe that there is any way to avoid this whilst the police are being asked to investigate themselves. So the sooner PUC or other more independent and objective bodies become involved, the better. The head of complaints form is problematic as it is asked to summarise a lengthy complaint into a small box. The categorisation of complaint is confusing as members of the public might not understand. If the complaint has been correctly categorised, the time of the police takes to investigate a complaint has to be reasonable. Then the time PUC takes is often dependent on the files made available to them by the police. In my case, PUC had to repeatedly ask police officers for more documents, and this takes more time. It's taken me over 4 years to indirect complaints investigated and reviewed by PUC. Yes, Police Scotland give me nothing to work with. That's all I can give you. Guidance.
So do you think it would be helpful for you that sort of situation at that fairly early stage? Police officers or people within the police were actually advising you to do police
Oh yeah,
and were supportive of that and
somebody show I've never shown any empathy, no compassion, no nothing, so I just never had any experience of anything from like that. But it would be great if you could do it that way, for other families that need it. So about that and other one's just good.
It's just a really quick question, and it's basically to say before you had to put in a complaint, what you had to do, with a single point of contact where you can work with person's documents. With a single point of contact, in other words,
The same, yes, definitely. I had to get a wee bit of faith in them and things, and you get to know them and it makes you comfortable. Definitely. especially with the kids and that as well, because I think that the police officers only did it once came in and they were scared for my kids.
And was there a difference in the police attitude after you took the complaint out to before that? I mean, I know from what you're saying, very clear communication before and so on. But did you find it that more?
Yes, even my son was missing, and the police officers would come and they just ask you like for your photos and different things, and we could go, they were all over so compassionate at the start, and I feel as if when the other ones were coming in and things, that's when I was getting scared. And I was scared. I said to look for holy things and I thought it was so suicide and what that means. I was like, oh, I'm sure when they were please, my name my boy looked at that. I thought, that's not the next
His question.
Yes. No, I've got this.
It's more, I think probably question 5, it's more whether you feel there was such openness on the face when you so in terms of your experience.
No, sadly, I don't think activation of duty of candour requirement will be enough. You're asking police officers to stand shoulder to shoulder with each other and to be literally protect each other's backs in dangerous situations. To be truthful and cooperative, but to keep their colleagues in disciplined and punished. They protect each other every other day, so they are most likely going to protect each other in these types of situations. The Act's giving evidence under oath with a perjury type system in place might make officers more willing to cooperate. There has to be consequences in place if they don't cooperate or they are proven to be untruthful. If police officers are held more accountable, they may be incompetence, the public competence may increase.
Looks as if it's a preparation for today. Would you be happy to share maybe whatever writing you've prepared with us if we haven't already got that?
Yes, I've just prepared the answers to the questions. Is that me? I was getting mixed up there, so obviously I'm just so that's number 5 in it.
Yeah, but it's quite clear that you feel that there was a background of honesty.
Oh no, yeah, we wouldn't say it's
Thank you.
I wonder if I can just ask you a question about Park number 23. I wonder if you could tell us what you think about the introduction of a legal requirement for Police Scotland and the Scottish Police Authority to respond to recommendations that are made by PERC after they've handled a review, after the depth of a review. So, do you have a thought on that?
Yes, that was your questions. Question 6, is it?
Don't worry if you don't have that to hand easily.
I think this could be helpful. This may require Police Scotland and the SPA to look closer at public review findings and recommendations. That's very helpful. Yes, yes, I think in the future, as things put in place and things, it could, the parents and hopefully other families will be able to, in the future, go through this and it could be.
We spoke in 2020 of looking at STD time. One of the issues that we raised in that was the initial catastrophic mistakes made by the police may have been due to what was called post-court policing. And assumptions were made, and at that point made their decisions. There was no going back from
There's
that.
no going back, that's,
And then when you attempted to get answers, you effectively had to conduct your own investigation, which percolated the status of the case. But I suppose that all of this was compounded by the complaint process, which is what we're looking at today. So could you just explain the tactics? Well, you've already done so, but we've got delays, we've got the mischaracterisation of heads of complaint, we've got attempts to put pressure on you. How would you summarise the entire complaints process? What does it do to you, and how do you?
just in touch, if I never had the represented Albertson team, it's just designed to break you, it's absolutely designed to break you. It's a very hard complaint system.
Because they've got the resources and the arguments and maybe the systems.
I think see Professional Standards Department, that was really a big farce. That was a horrible experience with us, especially the Professional Standards Department right at the start. That was awful.
Because making a complaint as a member of the public about something that's happened is one thing, but you're a grieving mother and you're complaining about something that's absolutely unimaginable to most people. And there's no real compassion apart from the outset where the officers came to you and were smileful, helpful. After that, it just been, I think the phrase you used was a hellish merry-go-round, which seems to sum it up.
Still get mixed up there, right?
Don't worry about the different numbers. It's just about how you feel and just remembering some of what happened, you know. I couldn't believe that this was Free Scotland, and I'm begging for help, and I couldn't believe it. I've lost all faith. And I don't think it could stop it. We don't expect you to know what is built. We don't yet know. We've not really looked at it properly. But assuming you would agree that in general terms, we need to pass a law that changes the police complaints process. And that's absolutely necessary. And that's why you're here.
That's a major factor. I said this would have saved a number of months of distress and suffering. In my case, it was clear that Buck had to go to the pace of Police Scotland and Police Scotland were going at their own pace. So this is a big option. This is one of the most important situations in the
Johnson.
Thanks for watching the video. Good morning, Stephen. Thank you very much for coming and for the courage you demonstrated in facing up to these circumstances, which we're truly sorry about. One of the points you just made to us a familiar name was you said that you were essentially having to work against this system and you were pleading for help from the police. Now that strikes me as being entirely the wrong place for you to be as a mother who is searching for your son. So I wonder if you could just say to us a little bit more about how you felt about how the police were acting towards you when you began to raise your concerns about how they had handled your case.
just like a baby. The baby came into my house, so that the first tests. I've never been involved in a police in my entire life. Everybody says that police good, so that was not good. read a joke and up neighbours, they scared me, neighbours scared me, and you asked him, you look for my son to get in, and when my partner was saying some things, I was saying, oh, God, he won't see that because look, they don't look for this. So you're scared to kind of speak up because I felt sick with the baby, so they came out and the radio was going through and his wife said, would you go for dinner? Something like that. So I stood we were taking the toilet and went to sit down for it. I can't please and they were telling me to sit down, so I sat down with the baby and I was with my baby. I felt scared of the house. I've been always out there, 19. I will tell you what, one day they came and said, sorry, we can't go lecture this today. And for 2 days, I said, oh, please, it's another day. And they went, there's football things happening, and we told the police officers to go to this place. I said, what can we do? We can go there for 2 days. The shop's missing.
So, thank you for sharing that with us. What you make there highlights to me that in that short period of time between Reece going missing and his body being discovered, that the police made mistakes. Is that fair? And then from that, do you think your experience of the complaints process, which made it very clear to us it was a terrible experience of the complaints process, do you think your experience was bad because the police could not face up to the fact that they had mishandled the initial investigation?
That's what 1,000%, that's what I think, yes, I have. Yes, I think 1,000%.
So what would your message be to us, what it is we've got to fix here? Because it sounds like what you're saying to us is that, and you know, we're all human, we make mistakes, so the police will make mistakes, we'll make mistakes.
But mistakes like that can't
I've been a politician for years, I make mistakes, I've got some problems. But what's important is about just being open.
Oh, that will definitely. If you come and say, you'd be open to things at the start and say, like, we've done this wrong at the very start, you're so sorry, you're going to rectify this right now at the very start. And we found out like things or whatever, but we knew from the start it was wrong.
So that was not your experience of what happened here. That the police did not say to you, we've got this wrong.
Oh, never. Still not apologise. They said they won't apologise to me. To very good sensitive because it's moved over the time scale of the complaints. It was different. I didn't see that. I've seen a red flag. This sort of like insights or something. You can apologise.
Thank you very much.
I know this is extremely hard for you, Stephanie, so just take your time and we can easily suspend the meeting for a couple of moments if we need to, so that's absolutely fine. Can I maybe just come in and pick up from the point that Johnson has just covered? And I wonder if I can ask you a wee bit what you think Police Scotland maybe needs to be thinking about changing in terms of the way they respond, but particularly to incidents whereby someone dies in unexplained circumstances, as was the case with your son tragically. So what do they need to be thinking about in terms of how they can improve the way that they respond to that?
Every unexplained death shouldn't be put down when your loved one's missing, and that it should just be put down as suspicious duty. I think it should be done as suspicious. Is that the right question you asked me there?
I know that makes sense. Thank you for that. And I wonder, just on that, then that's a helpful response. And one of the things in my mind on that is perhaps the role of some sort of family liaison support, liaison officer. Do you have any views on that, the benefit of that? Is that something that you were offered?
No, I was never offered that. No, and I think that would make a big difference because I had to sit in and wait when my son was receiving different days and I got a phone call every second day that he didn't want to go. And that was really mad. That was my wee phone calls at that time that
Okay, thank you. Just looking around the room to see if there are any other questions that any members want to ask. And if not, I wonder if I can maybe just draw the session to a close, Stephanie, and just ask if there's anything else that we haven't covered this morning, like the bullying or the police complaint system.
the database.
That you think it's important that the committee should know about. Any final thoughts?
I think about the database, I absolutely agree that PUP should be given access to Police Scotland's complaint database. This would have made a great difference for the better in my case. I don't see this causing any negative issues for the public or the complainer. I suspect that the police might be more guarded with what they put on the database if the know PUP can access it, but I think this is really important regulation.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to bring this session to a close. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining us this morning. I think that you've shared this has been extremely valuable for the committee. Thank you to your support. It's most appreciated. So we'll just have a short suspension.
So guys, they wouldn't let me upstairs to film this, so I'll come down in the lobby kind of reception area. They won't lead up to the committee rooms or the conference rooms where they're doing this. It's been live streamed, so I will download the whole thing and I will put it out there for you guys. So I'll make sure you get, because there's a little bit of noise here, you can probably hear some background noise. So at the end of the day, I'll try to get the download. There is a download. If you go onto the Scottish Parliamentary website, there is a download link for this case, and so they brought it to Scottish Parliament to have a hearing about the conduct of the Scottish police in the murder and the subconsequences of what went on. She never had any liaison officer, she had nothing, and the police failed in their duty of care as far as this case is concerned, as far as I can understand so much of it. So she's got it into Parliament, she's gone and had a conference in Parliament about the conduct of Scottish police. But we see this all over the country, guys. It's the Metropolitan Police, we saw it with Devon Palace Police, we've seen it all over, and it's the same everywhere. It's just unbelievable that there's a law that affects both sides, them and us, and you know, they have to have that duty of care and duty of respect for people, and they didn't show that at all in the Bonner case. And Reece, God bless him, try and get something with Stephanie, and also I'll make sure that the download is done so you can actually see the without any interruption in the background, and you can hear everything that's been said today. This is quite an alarming case, and if you've seen the emotion, if you look up the Bonner, you look at Stephanie Bonner on TikTok on it, and you see the tears in her eyes. I watched a couple last night, and I was absolutely sopping my heart out in the pod last night. So I'm going to leave it there, and we'll come back to it in a bit, guys. The sound isn't very good, so I will download it.